This is the newsroom for Friday, May 21, 2021. We're broadcasting to you on E1, Scar TV, NTN, and Tarzi TV in Bartica. In the headlines, schools across the country are to remain closed as the Ministry of Education explores reopening in September.
We expect, therefore, to be able to reopen schools in September of 2021 to every grade level.
Law enforcement authorities are probing the discovery of almost 1,000 pounds of cocaine on board a foreign aircraft that made an emergency landing at Oriala in Region 6. Concerned about the growing crime situation, the government is moving to install more street cameras. A pregnant woman is badly beaten by a funeral goer who blocked access to her home at Lalaram. And in sport, table tennis player Chelsea Edgell is ecstatic over prospects after qualifying for Olympic Games. And Kashif Mohammed is the new chairman of the National Sports Commission. With the news, I'm Kurt Campbell. We're glad you can join us. First up, all schools except for those levels that have already been reopened will remain closed until the month of September. This is according to Minister of Education Priya Manikchand, who provided an update on schools reopening on Friday afternoon via the Ministry of Education's Facebook page. Here is what the minister had to say.
We have taken a decision based on the advice of the Ministry of Health to remain closed for the rest of this school year, the academic year, which ends usually around the end of June, first week in July. We will therefore remain closed for the month of June, except for those classes that have already returned to the classroom. So, for all classes across the country, we are going to remain closed for the remaining days in May and the months of June, July, and August for all of the classes that have been closed, except for those that have already returned to the classroom, which would really be grades 10, 11, and 12, or 4th, 5th, and 6th form. If persons are responsible in getting vaccinated and utilizing the only scientific and medically proven way of bending the curve of the COVID-19 disease, that we are going to be able to resume a state of relative normalcy. We expect, therefore, to be able to reopen schools in September of 2021 to every grade level, and we will work very hard to make sure that happens. I will, of course, keep you updated as we go along. We are also aware that the Caribbean Examinations Council is currently examining or re-examining a decision that was made in January of this year that the CXC exams, both CSEC and CAPE, would be sat from June to August or June to July. We have very many options on the table that could possibly change that timeline. You would recall when we fixed the date for the NGSA exams, we fixed that date consciously knowing what dates CXC would set their exams for. And we made sure the NGSA was falling outside of that timeline. If CXC changes their date, it could impact significantly on our NGSA, but I want to assure you now that we heard parents and teachers and students when they said that they would be ready for those exams in August, and we are going to fight very hard to try to deliver those exams efficiently and smoothly and in a way that is in our children's best interest in August. Again, if that changes, I will let you know, but as it stands now, I encourage NGSA students, teachers, and parents to prepare as though the exams are going to happen in August.
We tell you now that the Guyana Police Force has discovered close to 1,000 pounds of cocaine on board a foreign aircraft which made an emergency landing in Savannah in Oriala Region 6, East Berbice, Quarantine on Thursday. Police headquarters in a statement noted that ranks of the police force's SWAT team, the Army and the Customs Anti-Narcotic Unit CANU were mobilized and dispatched to the scene from Campaign, Ghana aboard the GDF's helicopter. A thorough search of the aircraft was conducted and a total of 453 packages containing 453 kilograms of suspected cocaine were found, along with 2 global positioning systems, a radio set, 3 smartphones, 2 ID cards, and the aircraft registration documents. 2 male foreign nationals, including the pilot suspected to be Brazilians, were arrested by the divisional ranks. They remain in custody as investigations continue. Tushao of Oriala Louis Devere told the newsroom that based on reliable reports he received, the aircraft landed in a savanna near the airstrip in the village and next to where a road is being built. An eyewitness from the area told journalist Ryan Abrams that the aircraft landed at about 14 hours after running out of fuel. According to the eyewitness, the 2 men told residents that they were traveling and visiting several areas to do sport fishing and other leisure activities, but they encountered difficulty while in the air. A renowned Pandit from Region 5 Mahaika Berbice, Rajin Lalaram, has died after being infected with the disease, COVID-19. The newsroom has been reliably informed that the man died late Thursday night after he experienced severe symptoms of the disease. His mother, wife, and sister were also diagnosed with the disease, but they have all since recovered. Tributes of Pandit Lalaram were pouring in on Friday morning. The Guyana Central Arya Samaj noted that they've lost a great son, father, brother, and friend. The Guyana Senator Dharma Maha Saba wrote on their Facebook page that the Hindus of Guyana have lost a great leader. Additionally, President of the Guyana Pandits Council, Rajra Sharma, extended condolences to the family of the very brilliant and vibrant Lalaram. Sharma advised everyone to get their COVID-19 vaccines and to continue wearing their mask, stating COVID is extremely dangerous. The government has said that with mounting concerns with the in-country crime situation, plans have been put in place to further reduce criminal activities. Vice President Dr. Bartica outlined those plans at the press conference on Friday. Here are the details. Vice President Dr. Bartica on Friday expressed concern with the crime situation in the country, assuring that the government has taken steps to tackle the problem that has caused disquiet among citizens. During a press conference at the Ortochang Conference Center, Dr. Jagdeo said there is a plan being rolled out to tackle crime. Providing brief details on the plan, Dr. Jagdeo said the government was looking at resuscitating and expanding the Smart City Surveillance Program, which will allow for the recording of activities in several areas across the country that will be monitored through a command center.
Resuscitating the Smart City Program because it's all in chaos and it's limited to 265 cameras, but taking this across the country and with a capability of monitoring and operating it so you can see what's going on. It would help a lot. That means we'd have to pass new laws about privacy, etc., but it's a law enforcement tool that would be crucial in managing, etc.
The Vice President also said that the government intends to ensure that the local forensic laboratory at Turkine East Coast Demerara is fully staffed to support the police, offering a boost to its investigative capabilities.
The forensic lab and stuff like that, under this scholarship program, we are hoping to identify at least maybe 100 persons that will do. If you look at the scholarships on offer, where a lot of them are for forensic science and stuff like that, to ensure that we can better populate the forensic lab, the facilities that we built.
The Vice President also announced that come next week, some 40 new vehicles will arrive in the country for the Guyana Police Force, even as the government moves ahead with plans to train ranks and staff of the Guyana Police Force and better equip police stations. Dr. Jagdeo said the government has asked the police to share the statistics on crime with the public through the media on a regular basis. On narco-trafficking, Dr. Jagdeo said there has been more enforcement since the PPP came to government in August 2020. He said he's pleased with those enforcement actions, with 3 of the largest busts in the last few years.
I believe that you've had more enforcement action since the PPP got into office. You've had some of the biggest busts ever in the history of the country. I believe that the drug dealers didn't become good boys in the last 5 years under APNU and believe, because we have APNU in office, we'd stop doing the drug trade. I believe that it was going through undetected.
On April 21, 2021, police headquarters in a statement said its intelligence-led strategies and constant operational activities have led to an overall decrease of 29.8% in serious crimes for 2021 when compared to the same period last year. There has been a 38.4% decrease in armed robberies where firearms were used by the perpetrators and a 47.7% decrease in armed robberies where other instruments were used. Murder has seen a 22.9% decrease with 37 to date this year compared to 48 for a similar period last year. A pregnant woman is badly beaten by a funeral goer who blocked access to her home at Lalaram. Two GRA clerks are among four charged in $19 million fraud, and the government reaches a settlement deal with two businessmen who procured lands illegally. You're watching the newsroom. Announcing that the government was not considering a lockdown in wake of a rise in COVID-19 cases and deaths locally, Vice President Dr. Bartica on Friday said there was also no empirical evidence to prove that shifting the curfew hours will reduce the rate of infection. The current curfew starts at 10:30 p.m. and ends at 4 a.m. daily. Dr. Jagdio said other countries in the region which have been in lockdown since the start of the pandemic have experienced worse levels of infections. He emphasized the need for persons to work and conduct economic activities in Guyana.
A number of people have called for changes of protocol, more lockdown, and we have demonstrated that there is no empirical evidence to say that by shifting curfew hours, you're going to get less rates of infection, because people often during the course of the day, they engage in economic activities and other activities that without wearing a mask or observing any protocol. But we will keep a close watch on the situation.
A woman just 6 months pregnant was on Thursday reportedly shoved to the ground and assaulted by an irate funeral goer who attempted to barge into her Princess Street Lodge Georgetown house. Amandi Brotherson, who resides opposite the Lalaram Cemetery in Georgetown, told the newsroom that the residents are fed up with the behavior of funeral goers in the area. They are now calling for the police to intervene.
The injured pregnant woman, Amandi Brotherson, explained to the newsroom that around 6:45 p.m., a large crowd of funeral goers blocked the passageway to her yard at Lot 42 Princess Street Lodge, Georgetown, preventing her brother from entering with his vehicle. She said that when her brother asked them to move, an argument ensued between him and a man who, she said, quickly became violent. The funeral goer, according to the woman, had a gun in his waist and rushed into their yard, attempting to kick down the door to her house. Brotherson spoke with the newsroom on Friday but did not want to appear on camera.
I intervened when the man was breaking down the door to come in because he had a gun. And during the midst of that, the man turned to me, pulled me, punched me to my face several times, threw me to the ground, and kicked me. And it was a whole big commotion. His family took him and put him inside of a car to drive away.
The woman relayed too that before the suspect was hauled away by family members, he scratched her brother's vehicle. The residents of Princess Street called on law enforcement to immediately intervene as they complained about the behavior of the funeral goers and the constant abuse meted out to them. Candace Brotherson, Amandi's mother, told the newsroom that the situation has been ongoing for 2 years since the cemetery extended.
Over the past years, I gotta say, but 2 years now, they've been burying in this cemetery, and it's getting from bad to worse. Every day it's a commotion. For instance, as recent as yesterday, my son was coming in from work, for the matter of fact, he took me to the barber. And while he's coming in, they refuse to move out the way. They have dance out here when funeral time, and it was about 6:45 when this incident took place. They got night funeral out here.
Another Princess Street resident who did not wish to be on camera relayed to the newsroom that the residents are subjected to gunshots, loud music, and explicit language whenever there is a funeral.
Lodge people is suffering a lot because the behavior pattern of the people is not a funeral. It's like a dance. You would sit in and you step and they would barge in, march straight into your yard, pass you, go to piss, go to do whatever they want to do. If they want to sit down on your steps, whatever, and when you talk, the cost in you, and something need to be done. They need to have patrols on the road.
Reporting for the newsroom, Shakima Day.
We tell you now the two clerks attached to the Guyana Revenue Authority were among two men who were arraigned before City Magistrate Liren Daly on Friday for allegedly conspiring with each other to forge $19.4 million worth in checks in the name of the state agency. Randy Gladstone, 38, Leron Green, a 26-year-old accountant of William Street, Kitty, Ivor Dowrich, 26 of 2nd Street, Cummings Lodge, East Coast, Demerara, and Taquan Clark, 25 of West Rhineville, Georgetown, both employees of GRA, were not required to plead to the counts of conspiracy to commit a felony. The two charges allege that Gladstone, between October 28, 2020 and May 11, 2021, conspired with others to forge two Bank of Guyana checks purporting that these were issued by the Guyana Revenue Authority Internal Revenue Department. Green, Dowridge, and Clark were each released on $600,000 bail each, while Prosecutor Richard Harris objected to Gladstone being granted bail since he has a similar matter before the court. The magistrate remanded Gladstone to prison and adjourned the matter until July 2, 2021. Months after the government initiated legal processes to repossess land sold illegally to the Chief Executive Officer of Sevens Waste Management, Inc., Morris Archer, and popular businessman Wilfred Branford, the owner of Carcare Enterprise, Vice President Dr. Bartica has said that the government has settled with the matter with both businessmen. Through the settlement, the government has taken steps to discontinue its recourse to the court. Here is more.
A settlement on moving forward because we don't want Guyanese who are caught up with the illegalities. We believe that Ben committed these illegalities, and the people, many of them were unsuspected. And these are businessmen that we want to see succeed. So we have reached an agreement with Sevens about that project, and we're going to move forward on that. And similarly with Carcare, we have also reached an agreement with that business entity so that they don't have to face court proceedings on these matters.
That was Vice President Dr. Bartica during a Friday afternoon press conference at the Arthur Chung Conference Center. Asked to provide details on the agreement, the Vice President said he does not wish to provide the details just yet, as the arrangements are still being finalized.
On those matters, I would not wish to, at this point in time, speak about it. They were just being put together. We sat, we agreed, and once they're completed, we'll make them known. But just to say that the state will not pursue any legal action against these individuals.
The Vice President said the move to broker the agreement is an adjustment to the government's earlier stated position to penalize these persons.
A lot of people were asking me before the elections, what are you going to do about these illegalities? What would the PPP do if it gets into government? I said to you then, we will take action against the people who have siphoned off state assets. Now suddenly a lot of people see this as witch hunting. Witch hunting. It's not anymore the people who have siphoned off state assets. So you tell me if it is not illegal for the Ben, who was at Lands and Survey, to sell land when he had no authority to sell land.
His comments come days after former commissioner of the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission, Trevor Ben, was slapped with a charge in relation to the sale of the land to Sevens. The CEO of Sevens was informed by a letter from the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal in February that the government was looking to repossess the land it was illegally sold by Ben. Nandlal later said that the sale was being reviewed on a direct appeal by Archer to President Irfan Ali, but he emphasized that the transaction remains highly illegal. Archer claimed the land located at Laverpentier, Georgetown was purchased from the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission in 2018 for $100 million, of which $80 million has already been paid. Meanwhile, later in March, a lawsuit filed by Nandlal against the owner of Carcare, Bradford, noted that the state is the lawful owner of several acres of land at Plantation Brineville, Greater Georgetown. Bradford was a board member of the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission under the previous APNU-AFC administration. The parcels of land were sold to Bradford for a total sum of $13.5 million. The government believes Ben authorized the sale of the land knowing fully well it was below market value and he was not authorized to do the sale. Thank you for staying with us. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony on Friday confirmed that COVID-19 vaccination among Guyana's younger population between the ages of 18 and 40 remains the lowest. He made the disclosure as he provided statistics on the vaccination campaign in Guyana during his daily COVID-19 update. Dr. Anthony said while the statistics are broken down by age, it is proven that the vaccination is highest among the older population. To date, health officials have been able to vaccinate 62.2% of persons 60 years and above, while 33.7% of persons between the ages of 40 to 59 have been vaccinated. And that figure drops when it comes to persons between the ages of 18 and 39, with just 27.2% of persons in this age group vaccinated. Just about half of Guyana's population is said to be between this age group.
With the lower age group, that is the 18 to the 39 age group, that's an age group that we'll have to work more on, because when we look at the number of infection that is occurring, new cases of infection, we're seeing those new cases are predominantly between 18 and 40. And so this group is more vulnerable to the infection because, I guess, because they're more active, they're moving around, they're coming in contact with persons who are positive. And because of that, they can spread the infection to others. So it is important that we immunize this age group, and I would like to make an appeal for the younger persons, people between 18 and 40, to come forward and get their vaccines, because this would help us to contain the spread.
Meanwhile, looking at the regional breakdown for vaccination, Dr. Anthony said Region 10 continues to lag behind as the region with the lowest vaccination uptake. Dr. Anthony said while there has been a marginal increase in the region with regards to vaccination, more needs to be done. The stats show that just about 11% of the population in Region 10 is now vaccinated. As Bartica celebrates its 5-year anniversary of being declared a tongue, a $177.3 million magistrates court was commissioned on Thursday in Region 7 Kuyuni-Mazaruni community to provide easier access to justice and other related services to citizens living in the interior and hinterland communities. Shamika D reports.
The L-shaped complex, which stands erect at Mongrippa Hill, costing $177.3 million, is fitted with a courthouse, living quarters for a magistrate, magistrates' chambers, lawyer's room, court registry, offices, living quarters for staffers, and other amenities. At the commissioning, Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Yonet Cummings-Edwards, explained that the court will be held weekly by resident magistrate Crystal Lambert. She added that not only will the Bartica court provide jobs for locals in the area, it will aid in the influx of trafficking in person cases reported by police, which are coming from the interior and the border region.
This is a growing community. From 1960 to now, the population has increased. We have mining districts, we have indigenous communities. All of that translates to the need for justice, and with consequent upon the need for justice, access to justice. We in the Supreme Court pride ourselves in having initiatives to provide access to justice and legal services to the population throughout the length and breadth of Guyana. We're happy to say that we got some good news this week from the Honorable Attorney General that we will be getting land on the east bank of Demerara at Temeri and at Friendship. And come next budget, you look out for us. We'll be there with a spanking new building too.
Also at the commissioning was the Minister of Legal Affairs and Attorney General, Anil Nandlal. He reaffirmed the government's commitment to partnering with the judiciary to ensuring access to justice throughout Guyana. He explained as well that the new modern court adds to the ongoing transformation in Guyana and has set the benchmark for other future court construction.
This is indeed a tremendous achievement. It is the signification of the transformation taking place in our country. The Honorable Chancellor, in her remarks, were careful to detail the number of facilities that will converge here in this one and singular edifice, and the type of furnishings with which it is being equipped. Modern furniture, washing machine, dryer, internet, television, etc. 10 years ago, just 10 years ago, those facilities in a court would have been considered inconceivable, not possible. This, I have no doubt, will be the standard bearer of courts going forward.
Before the new building was established, the court hearings were held at the Bartica police station 3 days per month by a resident magistrate. Recognizing that this was hindering access to justice and adding to the backlog of cases in the criminal justice system, the previous APNU AFC government in 2018 awarded the contract to M&P Investments for the construction of the court in Bartica. The deadline for the contract was November 2019. However, due to unforeseen circumstances, the construction of the courthouse was delayed and completed by A&E Consultant Inc. For the newsroom, I am Shakima Day.
Guyana on Thursday joined with other nations and called for a ceasefire and peaceful end to the Israeli occupation in Palestine. In a statement delivered by Ambassador Carolyn Rodriguez-Burkett, Guyana's permanent representative to the United Nations, during the joint debate in the UN General Assembly, Guyana expressed deep concern about the escalation of tension and violence between the two Middle Eastern nations, which has resulted in the loss of numerous lives, destruction of property, the displacement of persons, and a serious setback in the Middle East peace process.
We condemn all acts of violence and find repugnant the invasion of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and attacks on medical facilities and media houses. We implore all parties to behave responsibly, exercise maximum restraint, and to cease all actions that are in contravention of international law, including international humanitarian law. There must be a ceasefire. Mr. President, the recent events underscore the urgency of achieving an end to the Israeli occupation and to have a just, lasting, and comprehensive peace settlement. The prolonged occupation of the Palestinian territory, including in and around East Jerusalem, has led to extremely difficult economic and social conditions for the Palestinian people. The government of Guyana firmly believes that the various resolutions adopted by both the General Assembly and the Security Council in relation to the Palestinian question, as well as the accords reached directly between Israel and Palestine, provide an adequate framework for the two sides to strive for agreement. We therefore call upon the parties to avoid further confrontation and return to the negotiating table with a genuine view to finding a peaceful solution.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather, and bridge reports along with sport. Welcome back to the newsroom, now for a look at what's happening in sport. We start things off with some table tennis news. Chelsea Edgell has become the first Guyanese table tennis player to make the cut for the Olympics, as she will head to this year's games in Tokyo on a wildcard selection. Edgell, who is Guyana's highest ranked female player, related to the newsroom sport that she is ecstatic about being selected to attend the prestigious games. She indicated that it will require serious investment for her to be at her best come the games.
It hasn't quite hit me at the magnitude of what I've accomplished in the sport. It's always been my dream to, leave a mark in Guyana table tennis, to be one of the greats and to be among the greats that have come before me. But to be the first of something, so grand and so big, I never thought that it would be now. I always imagined that I would go someday and I would attend the games, but in this moment, there was no. I can say that the feelings haven't set in. I haven't fully grasped what it means to be the first of so many things in the sport of table tennis in Guyana. I spoke to Ms. Monroe yesterday after I got the news, and we decided that we have to sit down and plan, and it'll be done as quick as possible. For sure, no serious training can be done in Guyana. We can start the process of emulating or simulating what I've been doing in Portugal in Guyana for the first week or so. But the goal right now is to try to get me out to one of the training camps in Europe or even Asia, depending on what is decided. For me, it's a sense of pride to be able to go and compete, and anywhere I go, I want to leave a mark that Guyana was here and that Chelsea was here, and for me, that's my mindset going to these training camps, going for the preparation and everything, is to be in that mindset to where I will be competing and not just attending the games.
Co-director of the Kashif in Shanghai organization, Kashif Mohammed, is the new chairman of the National Sports Commission. Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport Charles Ramson Jr. on Friday afternoon confirmed the appointment. The minister added that an announcement on the other members of the commission would be made soon. He was lean and exhibited nimble footwork, which lent to his successful stint on the tennis table. Today, the feet are still nimble, but he has grown in mass through a concerted effort to take up a lifestyle of fitness, specifically CrossFit. This Guyanese sportsman is now playing his part in helping others to achieve their fitness goals through his recently opened gym in Kitty, Georgetown.
Paul Musa is best known for his exploits as a national table tennis player between 1999 and 2012. His last tournament, the CSC Championship in the Dominican Republic. He had some memorable encounters on the table, none more entertaining and competitive than his showdowns with compatriot Christopher Franklin. Their rivalry on the table famously earned them the nickname, the Twin Towers.
We were training partners, first of all. So the duels, I guess the duels were made even tougher because we knew each other's styles very well. So the match was very entertaining. And believe me, the only way we could get better was that little rivalry that was still there. So we pushed each other to higher heights in every match, even in practice. So what was happening in practice, people just got to see it there in a competition. But trust me, when we go in competition, we used to go very hard at each other. So those were some of the most entertaining matches and most memorable matches indeed in my career.
Table tennis has now taken a backseat for Musa, a bittersweet experience for him, but it was more a move that was necessitated by the desire to embark on a profession that would not only allow him to earn, but also aid others in achieving their goals. Today, Musa is a CrossFit strength and conditioning trainer and athlete.
In terms of transition, it was hard, for I only had leg strength because table tennis, I'm primarily in a squat and had no upper body strength. So that was, developing upper body strength was a great challenge. But I guess being a top sportsman or arriving to a certain level, you develop a certain mental fortitude and I'm a person that loves a challenge. So, in one area it's hard, but I revel the challenge in the newfound love. So I've been a trainer primarily since 2009. That gives me a little more than a decade experience. But I want to exemplify what I teach. I teach people to be all around functionally fit. So when CrossFit, the concept of CrossFit came about with you know, a little bit of running, some gymnastics, some calisthenics, push-ups, pull-ups, whilst lifting, and doing it very intensely for time. That concept, you know, grabbed me right away. I'm like, nah, I have to do this. And more so, I would have, from the day CrossFit has started to now, I'm sure I would have motivated and inspired much more people, not just by my mere words or the knowledge that's in my head, but by they see me out there. And it's good to see a trainer out there doing it. You yourself could be motivated. So I did it more to be a living motivation to people. I'm currently the CARES Caribbean CrossFit over 30 vice champion, and I placed, you know, just outside the top 5 overall. So I'm not just local one of the fittest, but Caribbean-wise one of the fittest guys around. So that's a nice cred to have as your trainer. That being said, I just completed powerlifting novice. So it's the final strength sport that I've competed in. So I've won my category at novices powerlifting. I've competed bodybuilding. I won novices there in a category. I've competed physique, and I've competed CrossFit. So everything there is to do, I've competed again. I love competing. I guess that's the part of table tennis that I miss. So I get to engage and compete.
In February 2021, Musa founded the Exodus Gym located at David and Lamaha Streets in Kitty under the motto, facilitating our clients' exodus from their present reality to the best versions of themselves.
We're there trying to take you to whatever you see your best version is. If it's a little fitter, a little slimmer, a little stronger, whatever, we're there to do just that. But more so, I feel this is my social response to the COVID situation, because the world is in a health crisis. So, logically, the answer is to be as healthy as possible. I would even share some facts. In the world, the fittest professionals are professional athletes. Now, many leagues around the world, basketball, football, all various disciplines, would have recorded thousands of infections. Up to this date, I may be wrong, but I have not observed any professional league reporting one single death. So it stands to reason, and I'm not claiming to be a top virologist or anything, just based off of this fact. It stands to reason that if you are fit, very fit and healthy, then that reduces your mortality rate. There is a little bit of a misconception. I wish I had this knowledge when I was a table tennis player, that you don't need any sort of power to play table tennis. Mind you, it is the fastest ball sport on earth. And all fitness functions within 2 parameters, maximum strength and maximum endurance. So say I want to hit the ball at 200 miles an hour, and that takes me 100% of my effort, as opposed to a guy who's so strong, he hits that ball at 200 miles an hour and at 50% of his effort. Who do you think would endure a match more? The stronger person. So you still need some level of strength in terms of table tennis fitness. I wish I had that knowledge then when I was just super skinny and never pursued any form of strength. So that's why in terms of the conditioning of any athlete, ball sport or not, there still is the weight element of the training, but you need some level of strength.
Reporting for Newsroom, I'm Afanash Ramzan.
Promising young batsman Kevlin Anderson has secured a contract with home franchise Guyana Jaguars, while Jaguars stalwart Raymond Reifer was not retained ahead of West Indies professional cricketers draft for the 2021-2022 cricket season. Akin Green has more details in this report.
The 20-year-old Anderson is yet to play first-class cricket, but the Barbadian who represented the West Indies under-19 at last year's Youth World Cup is seen as one of the most promising talents in the country. He is the only first-timer being protected by the Guyana Jaguars. Franchises can protect up to 13 players ahead of the draft, and at the draft, they will only need to select 2 players to complete the squad of 15. The young batsman told the Newsroom Sport on Friday, open quote, "It feels amazing and overwhelmed that my hard work and dedication is paying off. I have been given a great opportunity to be part of a great team, which is an amazing step forward. I will continue to work hard and stay dedicated to the best of my abilities. I will also continue to stay focused at all times so that when cricket resumes, I'll be able to perform at my best." End quote. International players Kimo Paul, Shimon Hetmyer and Romario Shepherd, who lost their West Indies retained contracts for this period, are in receipt now of A-grade Guyana Jaguars contracts. The big omission is that of Barbadian all-rounder Ramon Reefer, who won 5 consecutive 4-day titles with the Guyana Jaguars. Reefer spent the last 6 seasons with the Jaguars and will now turn out for home franchise, Barbados Pride. Jamaican off-spinner Ramal Lewis is the other overseas player based in the Guyana Jaguars. It is not certain as yet whether he would be picked up at the draft by the Jaguars. At the last draft, Cedarby Board of Directors agreed that a requirement to contract at least 2 players from outside of the franchise territory will not apply for the 2020-2021 season. Notably, this year, none of the 6 franchises have opted to protect any overseas-based players. From the protected list in 2020, Anthony Bramble, Akshay Prasad, and Keon Joseph are omitted from 2021. The other protected players by the Guyana Jaguars for this season are Christopher Barnwell, Tejan Chandrapal Hemraj, Leon Johnson, Gudikish Moti, Rasaran Pamal, Vishal Singh, Kevin Sinclair, and Niall Smith. At the last draft, Guyana opted to select Tevin Imlach and Ramal Lewis. Guyanese left-arm spinner Ashmed Ned, who was with the Leeward Hurricanes last season, is also part of the pool of players who can be drafted. Once the franchises have made their full picks to confirm their 15 retained players, a total of 19 cricketers across the 6 franchises will be retained on a full-time regional contract for the next 12 months. For the Newsroom, Akim Green.
St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots have announced their retentions for 2021 Hero Carbon Premier League, which takes place in St. Kitts and Nevis from August 28 to September 19. The Patriots have brought in 2 players from other franchises. They have signed Dwayne Bravo from Trinbago Knight Riders in a trade deal that saw Dennis Ramdin go the other way. They've also signed Sherwin Rutherford from Guyana Amazon Warriors. Exciting young prospects Joshua Da Silva and Dominic Drakes round out the retentions. The Patriots have 8 spots to fill to complete their squad, and these will be announced in the coming weeks. And that brings us to the end of our newscast. On behalf of the technical crew and the Newsroom team, I'm Kurt Campbell. Thank you for watching. See you again on Monday.